Chiantamo, I'm Kyle Doney, a member of the Seminole Tribe of Florida and a fellow Florida State University alum. Congratulations on your graduation from Florida State. As Florida State University graduates, you have the distinct honor of being known as a Florida State Seminole. You also have a responsibility to represent yourself, FSU, and the Seminole Tribe of Florida with respect and honor. As you begin the next phase of your life, be sure to take the unconquered spirit of the Seminole Tribe of Florida with you and make a commitment to support the tribe and other indigenous peoples. I encourage you to find opportunities to visit the Seminole Tribe of Florida reservations through events like the Brighton Field Day or the Seminole Tribal Fair, or visit the Atathiki Museum in Big Cypress. Again, congratulations on your amazing accomplishment, and Shanabish.
Congratulations, graduates. My name is Javi Borges, class of 1997 and chair of the Florida State University Alumni Association's National Board of Directors. I want to congratulate each of you on this wonderful accomplishment today. It is a profound honor to stand before you as the first Hispanic chair of the Alumni Association's National Board. To graduate from FSU is an immense achievement, and your degree will take you places you cannot imagine. Today, as you turn your tassel, you mark an incredible milestone in your life, and you become part of the FSU family of more than 409,000 living alumni worldwide. Your chapter as a student may be ending, but you're all Seminoles forever. Our community of alumni is ready to support you in your next chapter. I encourage you to plug into this lifetime resource and stay connected by joining a local Seminole club in your town, or perhaps getting involved in one of our 9 affinity networks, like the Young Alumni Network or the Hispanic Latin Alumni Network. FSU Connect, a digital platform that can be used anywhere, will be another valuable resource for you to lean on the advice and experience of fellow alumni. All you have to do is ask a question. As graduates, you are all part of the FSU Alumni Association automatically. Take advantage of programs like FSU Connect, resources at the FSU Career Center, networking opportunities, mentorship programs, travel benefits, events, and more. You can learn all about these opportunities at alumni.fsu.edu. Wherever your adventure takes you, your alumni family is rooting for you and are here to support you. Congratulations, and as always, Go Noles. Felicidades, graduados. Mi nombre es Javi Borges, de la clase de 1997 y presidente de la Junta Nacional de Directores de la Asociación de Antiguos Alumnos de Florida State University. Quiero felicitar a cada uno de ustedes por su éxito y este maravilloso logro de hoy. Es un honor profundo ser el primer presidente hispano de la Junta Nacional de la Asociación de Antiguos Alumnos. Graduarse de FSU es un logro inmenso y su título los llevará a lugares que no se pueden imaginar. Hoy, a mover la borla de su gorra, marcan un momento increíble en sus vidas y se conviertan en parte de la familia de FSU, que cuenta con más de 409,000 exalumnos vivos en todo el mundo. Su capítulo como estudiante se está terminando, pero ustedes son seminoles para siempre. Nuestra comunidad de antiguos alumnos están listos para apoyarlos en su próximo capítulo. Les animo a conectarse con este recurso de por vida y mantenerse en contacto, uniéndose con un club local de seminoles en su ciudad o quizás participando en una de nuestras 9 redes de afinidad, como la red de jóvenes exalumnos o la red de exalumnos hispanos latinos. FSU Connect, una plataforma digital que se puede usar en cualquier lugar, será otro recurso bueno para que se apoyen en los consejos y experiencias de otros exalumnos. Nada más que tiene que hacer una pregunta. Como graduados, todos ustedes son automáticamente miembros de la Asociación de Antiguos Alumnos de FSU. Aprovechen programas como FSU Connect, recursos en el Centro de Carreras de FSU, oportunidades de networking, programas de mentoría, beneficios de viajes, eventos y más. Pueden aprender todo sobre estas oportunidades en alumni.fsu.edu. Donde quiera que los lleve sus aventuras. Su familia de exalumnos estamos aquí apoyándolos y aquí para ayudarlos. Felicidades de nuevo y como siempre, vamos Seminoles.
Chiantamo, I'm Kyle Doney, a member of the Seminole Tribe of Florida and a fellow Florida State University alum. Congratulations on your graduation from Florida State. As Florida State University graduates, you have the distinct honor of being known as a Florida State Seminole. You also have a responsibility to represent yourself, FSU, and the Seminole Tribe of Florida with respect and honor. As you begin the next phase of your life, be sure to take the unconquered spirit of the Seminole Tribe of Florida with you and make a commitment to support the tribe and other indigenous peoples. I encourage you to find opportunities to visit the Seminole Tribe of Florida reservations through events like the Brighton Field Day or the Seminole Tribal Fair, or visit the Atatiki Museum in Big Cypress. Again, congratulations on your amazing accomplishment, and Shinabish.
Congratulations, graduates. My name is Javi Borges, class of 1997 and chair of the Florida State University Alumni Association's National Board of Directors. I want to congratulate each of you on this wonderful accomplishment today. It is a profound honor to stand before you as the first Hispanic chair of the Alumni Association's National Board. To graduate from FSU is an immense achievement, and your degree will take you places you cannot imagine. Today, as you turn your tassel, you mark an incredible milestone in your life, and you become part of the FSU family of more than 409,000 living alumni worldwide. Your chapter as a student may be ending, but you're all Seminoles forever. Our community of alumni is ready to support you in your next chapter. I encourage you to plug into this lifetime resource and stay connected by joining a local Seminole club in your town, or perhaps getting involved in one of our 9 affinity networks, like the Young Alumni Network or the Hispanic Latin Alumni Network. FSU Connect, a digital platform that can be used anywhere, will be another valuable resource for you to lean on the advice and experience of fellow alumni. All you have to do is ask a question. As graduates, you are all part of the FSU Alumni Association automatically. Take advantage of programs like FSU Connect, resources at the FSU Career Center, networking opportunities, mentorship programs, travel benefits, events, and more. You can learn all about these opportunities at alumni.fsu.edu. Wherever your adventure takes you, your alumni family is rooting for you and are here to support you. Congratulations, and as always, go Noles. Felicidades, graduados. Mi nombre es Javi Borges, de la clase de 1997 y presidente de la Junta Nacional de Directores de la Asociación de Antiguos Alumnos de Florida State University. Quiero felicitar a cada uno de ustedes por su éxito y este maravilloso logro de hoy. Es un honor profundo ser el primer presidente hispano de la Junta Nacional de la Asociación de Antiguos Alumnos. Graduarse de FSU es un logro inmenso y su título los llevará a lugares que no se pueden imaginar. Hoy, a mover la borla de su gorra, marcan un momento increíble en sus vidas y se conviertan en parte de la familia de FSU, que cuenta con más de 409,000 exalumnos vivos en todo el mundo. Su capítulo como estudiante se está terminando, pero ustedes son seminoles para siempre. Nuestra comunidad de antiguos alumnos están listos para apoyarlos en su próximo capítulo. Les animo a conectarse con este recurso de por vida y mantenerse en contacto, uniéndose con un club local de seminoles en su ciudad o quizás participando en una de nuestras 9 redes de afinidad, como la red de jóvenes exalumnos o la red de exalumnos hispanos latinos. FSU Connect, una plataforma digital que se puede usar en cualquier lugar, será otro recurso bueno para que se apoyen en los consejos y experiencias de otros exalumnos. Nada más que tiene que hacer una pregunta. Como graduados, todos ustedes son automáticamente miembros de la Asociación de Antiguos Alumnos de FSU. Aprovechen programas como FSU Connect, recursos en el Centro de Carreras de FSU, oportunidades de networking, programas de mentoría, beneficios de viajes, eventos y más. Pueden aprender todo sobre estas oportunidades en alumni.fsu.edu. Donde quiera que los lleve sus aventuras. Su familia de exalumnos estamos aquí apoyándolos y aquí para ayudarlos. Felicidades de nuevo y como siempre, vamos Seminoles.
Good morning. Let's try it again, okay? It's hot and it's summer, but let's be awake. Good morning. Thank you. Please be seated. We are happy to have you with us. The ceremony will begin in a couple of minutes. We have two requests. First, when the time comes, please stand for the processional, the Pledge of Allegiance, the national anthem, and the recessional. Our second request is that except for the times when you have been asked to stand, please remain seated throughout the ceremony. Graduates, please stay until all degrees have been granted and the recessional is over. If you leave after your graduate has been recognized and received their degree, it may interfere with others in the audience who are here to see their graduates. During the conferral of degrees, a professional photographer will take a picture of each graduate walking across the stage. You will receive proofs of the pictures, but there is no obligation to buy them. And finally, please, we ask everyone to silence your cell phones. Thank you, and again, we are glad to have you with us.
Good morning. I'm Richard McCullough, President of Florida State University, and I welcome you to this special ceremony for our summer doctoral concluding. Please remain standing for the presentation of colors, pledge of allegiance, singing of the national anthem.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Color Guard, you are dismissed. The audience may now be seated. I would like to extend my sincere appreciation to the Seminole Tribe of Florida Police and Fire Departments serving as Color Guard for our ceremony today. Florida State University respects its unique collaborative friendship with the Seminole Tribe of Florida. University and the tribe are partners who work side by side toward the respectful use of their name, imagery, and symbols. Seminole history is Florida history, and everyone in the FSU community is responsible for maintaining this ongoing partnership. Thank you to our wonderful commencement band from the College of Music, conducted by Caleb Switenek. Thank you. Also like to thank Ms. Madison Ross for singing the national anthem. Madison's pursuing a doctorate in vocal performance. After graduation, she plans to pursue a career in teaching voice performance at the university level and wants to become a choir director. Thank you, Madison. I also want to thank Amber Morgan for leading us in the pledge. Amber is a proud United States Air Force veteran with 25 years of service, being stationed in Florida, Alabama, Japan, and serving in multiple deployments. Amber is graduating today with a Doctor of Education in Learning Design and Performance Technology. After graduation today, Amber will continue her work as a Senior Curriculum Coordinator for the Alabama Community College System. Thank you, and congratulations, Amber. Now let's take a moment to remember the students who are no longer with us. We cherish the memories of our time together and the impacts they've made on our campus and our community. To the family and friends of those we've lost, we offer our deepest condolences. Distinguished faculty members and honored guests, thank you for being here with us today to celebrate the immense achievements of our doctoral graduates. Your everlasting support and encouragement do not go unnoticed. To our esteemed doctoral graduates, it's with tremendous pride and admiration I stand before you today to congratulate you on the culmination of years of dedication, resilience, and tireless effort in your pursuit of academic excellence. Commitment to education, research, scholarship, creative endeavors have paved the way to this day. You have all made significant contributions and advancements in your respective fields. As the new torchbearers of our great university, I urge you to embrace your esteemed role as highly respected scholars and leaders. You are shaping the future of industries, academia, arts, and scholarly achievements in society. As you embark on your new academic and professional pursuits, I encourage you to embody the three values of Florida State: vires, artes, mores, our strength, skill, and character, and carry those with you throughout all your pursuits. As Florida State University continues its rise in academic excellence and rankings, your presence on campus has undoubtedly helped us to make the university the best that it can be. On behalf of the university, congratulations to each one of you for your well-earned degrees. Now I'd like to introduce our Provost and Executive Vice President for Academic Affairs, Jim Clark. In his role, he serves as the Chief Academic Officer overseeing all colleges, centers, and institutes. Jim is a visionary leader who works tirelessly to advance the academic mission of Florida State University. Please join me in welcoming Provost Jim Clark.
Thank you, President McCullough. We gather today to celebrate a significant achievement. The Academy bestows the highest level of distinction in the awarding of the doctorate degree. Demonstrating exceptional discipline, mental toughness, and a deep passion have led you to this important day. Doubtlessly, you've encountered many trials and tremendous triumphs throughout this journey. But this morning, your perseverance and sacrifice are appreciated and respected by all of us gathered here. I'd like to thank the valued friends, family, and faculty who are here today for the crucial support that you have given these distinguished graduates. It's important for those of us here or joining online to acknowledge that your love and encouragement have helped put these graduates on the path to success. Now, doctoral graduates, it is with immense pleasure that I congratulate you on your achievement. When I look across this arena, I see excellence. Scholars, leaders, performers, artists, and visionaries. You bring with you the next great scientific discoveries, the most awesome performances, the next solutions to global challenges, great works of art, and the new theories and strategies that will help shape this nation and state and globe for the better. I'd also like to take a moment to recognize the graduate faculty here who will be hooding you. Congratulations to the faculty on your hard work and mentorship. Florida State's graduate faculty challenged our doctoral students at every level, offered their wisdom, experience, and expertise, and helped students turn ideas into dissertations and performances. On behalf of the university, we thank you, faculty, for your mentorship and guidance throughout these candidates' time at Florida State University. Let's acknowledge our faculty. Before I close, I'd like to reflect just for a few minutes on what we are about to experience together. The hooding ceremony is a ritual that signifies something transcendent. Drawing upon the Carnegie's Foundation understanding of the doctoral degree, I'd like to share a few words inspired by their study of the doctorate degree. They see those holding doctorates as the stewards or guardians of their disciplines and their professions. By invoking the term steward, they intend to convey the sense of purpose that guides action. Self-identifying as a steward implies adopting a sense of purpose that is larger than oneself. I know during the period of time of preparation for this degree, we can tend, my experience was, can get very self-directed, turn our vision very much in ourselves, trying to get this thing done that seems almost impossible at times. But by thinking about the transition after your hooding, it means you're in a different role. You have a different set of responsibilities along with that of scholarship that you've been embracing as candidates. By adopting stewardship as a touchstone, the care of your discipline, profession, or area of artistic work is crucial in understanding that you've been trusted with that care by those in the field, your professors, the people on your committee, your profession, discipline, this university. And on behalf of those in and beyond the discipline, the individual steward embraces a larger sense of purpose. The scale is both temporally large, looking to past and future, and broad in scope, considering the entire discipline, as well as the intellectual neighbors of your discipline. Importantly, a steward thinks about how to preserve the heart and essence of the field, but there are also important forward-looking meanings, as stewardship does not imply stasis. A steward is a caretaker who trains a critical eye toward the future. A steward must be willing to take risks and move the discipline or profession or artistic field forward. All of us charged with the care of this great university urge you to take on this stewardship with pride, joy, gravitas, and celebration. The hooding ceremony represents this great transition you're about to make. Congratulations to you all. We're excited to see what you do next, and we wish you success, happiness, and fulfillment in all your future endeavors. Go Noles.
Thank you, Provost Clark. Before we begin the conferral of academic degrees, I want to remind each of the graduates to bring your yellow name cards to the stage when you come forward. And there's some hand and sanitizer back here that you may use as you approach the stage, but I'd appreciate it if you keep it off those cards. Thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you up here.
Now for the main event, conferral of academic degrees. Before we move on, I want to recognize someone who's been a big part of this ceremony for many years. After 8 years serving as Dean of the Graduate School, Dr. Mark Riley will be returning to the faculty to continue his impactful research, teaching, and service as the Robert O. Lawton Distinguished Professor in the Department of Physics. Mark has been an incredible advocate for graduate students and played a major role in establishing this university-wide hooding ceremony to celebrate his achievements. Mark, we're grateful for your leadership and for your signature line that we're just about to hear that always brings us a smile. I also want to thank you personally, Mark. Where are you? There you go. I want to thank you personally, Mark, for not selling me your Porsche, which I wanted to buy, but you said it was it cost so much in repairs that you just couldn't bring yourself to foist that on me. So thank you for your honesty and integrity. Now for the conferral of doctoral degrees, I recognize the Dean of the Graduate School, Dr. Mark Riley.
Will the candidates for the doctoral degree please rise? Mr. President, I have the honor on behalf of the graduate faculty of Florida State University to present the awesome candidates for the doctoral degree.
By the virtue of the authority vested in me by the Florida Board of Governors and the Florida State University Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon each one of you the appropriate degree for which you have qualified, including the rights and responsibilities that comes along with such degree. Congratulations. You may be seated. Now that the doctoral degrees have been conferred, will the recipients please come forward along with your major professors or other accompanying faculty to be recognized.
Before we begin, we may be losing Dean Riley to go back to the faculty, but we welcome a new VP at her first commencement this morning. We bring someone back to the family. Professor Jeanette Taylor was in the Department of Psychology for many years, and she left to the University of Georgia for 2 years, but she saw the light and she has come back to our fold. I want to welcome Jeanette Taylor. Will Assistant Dean Suzanne Baker of the College of Medicine please come forward? Olalekan Hassan Usman, Doctor of Philosophy in Biomedical Sciences, hooded by Professor Jerome Irianto. Will Associate Dean Richard Lang of the FAMU FSU College of Engineering please come forward? Alireza Abbasi, Doctor of Philosophy in Civil Engineering, hooded by Professor Gong Chen. Lin Kui, Doctor of Philosophy in Civil Engineering, also hooded by Professor Chen. Farhad Farzadeh, Doctor of Philosophy in Civil Engineering, hooded by Professor Sungmoon Jung. Razaya Kayaman, Doctor of Philosophy in Civil Engineering, hooded by Professor Maxime Dulubinet. Bokang Lee, Doctor of Philosophy in Civil Engineering, hooded also by Professor Dulubinet. Dwight Manet, Doctor of Philosophy in Mechanical Engineering, hooded by Professor Christian Hubicki. Tienza Wong, Doctor of Philosophy in Electrical Engineering, hooded by Professor Hubicki. Paul Minsa, Doctor of Philosophy in Electrical Engineering, hooded by Professor Sastry Pamidi. Sophia Oes, Doctor of Philosophy in Electrical Engineering, hooded by Professor Pamidi. Mitesh Patadia, Doctor of Philosophy in Industrial Engineering, hooded by Professor Rebecca Downs. Alakan Savim, Doctor of Philosophy in Civil Engineering, hooded by Professor Vivian Guo. Weiwei Wong, Doctor of Philosophy in Electrical Engineering, hooded by Professor Linda DeBruner. Jaymani Bagu, Doctor of Philosophy in Biomedical Engineering, hooded by Professor Richard Lang, Dean. Will Dean James Frazier of the College of Fine Arts please come forward? Badrea Fahad Amakawi, Doctor of Philosophy in Art Education, hooded by Professor Jeffrey Broom. Rebecca Aaron Curran, Doctor of Philosophy in Theater, hooded by Professor Aaron Thomas. Catherine Uswick, Doctor of Philosophy in Art Education, hooded by Professor Sarah Scott Shields. Will Dean Michelle Kasmer of the College of Communication and Information please come forward? Diana Lucia Abarca Sasser, Doctor of Philosophy in Communication Science and Disorders, hooded by Professor Molly Romano. Miguel Garcia Salas, Doctor of Philosophy in Communication Science and Disorders, hooded by Professor Carla Wood. Cien O, Doctor of Philosophy in Information, hooded by Professor Gary Burnett. Anne C. Reed, Doctor of Philosophy in Communication Science and Disorders, hooded by Professor Kelly Farquharson. Cindy Maria Stewart, Doctor of Philosophy in Communication, hooded by Professor Stephen McDowell. Will Dean Tim Chapin of the College of Social Sciences and Public Policy please come forward? Damian M. Bolt, Doctor of Philosophy and Political Science, hooded by Professor Mark Suva. Rebecca Carpenter, Doctor of Philosophy and Sociology, hooded by Professor Dawn Carr. Brittany Cotton, Doctor of Philosophy and Sociology, hooded by Professor Ann Barrett. Catherine Reed, Doctor of Philosophy and Public Administration, hooded by Professor David Berlan. Ryan Eric Slapicus, Doctor of Philosophy and Geography, hooded by Dean Tim Chapin. Will Associate Dean Nancy Benavides of the College of Law please come forward? Sean G. Kurzer, Juris Doctorate, hooded by Dean Benavides. Will Dean Jing Wang, the College of Nursing, please come forward? Katiana Dara Blaze, Doctor of Nursing Practice, hooded by Professor Ali Craig Rodriguez. Kayla J. Brewer, Doctor of Nursing Practice, hooded by Professor Craig Rodriguez. Monique Buren Graves, Doctor of Nursing Practice, hooded by Professor Craig Rodriguez. Amber Camille Johnson, Doctor of Nursing Practice, hooded by Professor Craig Rodriguez. Talisha Johnson, Doctor of Nursing Practice, hooded by Professor Craig Rodriguez. Shaded Spielman, Doctor of Nursing Practice, hooded by Professor Craig Rodriguez. Mindy Leanne Strickland, Doctor of Nursing Practice, hooded by Professor Craig Rodriguez. Tracy Manning Blue, Doctor of Nursing Practice, hooded by Professor Allison McHugh. Tracy Casas, Doctor of Nursing Practice, hooded by Professor McHugh. Tony Sofranco, Doctor of Nursing Practice, hooded by Professor McHugh. Sneha Thomas, Doctor of Nursing Practice, hooded by Professor McHugh. Joy Williams, Doctor of Nursing Practice, hooded by Professor McHugh. Erica Anahi Diaz, Doctor of Nursing Practice, hooded by Professor Jennifer Schnippert. Will Associate Dean Ashley Bush of the College of Business please come forward? D.C. Delahaye, Doctor of Philosophy and Business Administration, hooded by Professor Bruce Lamont. Michael Sunwoo Peck, Doctor of Philosophy and Business Administration, hooded by Professor Lamont. Will Dean Thomas Blomberg of the College of Criminology and Criminal Justice please come forward? Lisa Francisca Abreu Rivera, Doctor of Philosophy and Criminology, hooded by Professor Carter Hay. Nan Lee, Doctor of Philosophy and Criminology, hooded by Professor Hay. Will Dean David Springer of the College of Social Work please come forward? Elizabeth Curley, Doctor of Philosophy and Social Work, hooded by Professor Stephen Tripodi. Will Associate Dean Elizabeth Avery of the College of Music please come forward? Crystal Berner, Doctor of Philosophy and Music Education, hooded by Professor Ann Harrington. Mike Glaze, Doctor of Music and Music Performance, hooded by Professor John Parks. Justin Haman, Doctor of Music and Music Performance, hooded by Professor Matthew Hightower. Ralph Jean-Paul, Doctor of Music and Music Performance, hooded by Professor Hightower. Young-Sun Kim, Doctor of Music and Music Theory and Composition, hooded by Associate Dean Elizabeth Avery. Darian Lee, Doctor of Music and Music Performance, hooded by Associate Dean Avery. Will Dean Damon Andrew of the Ann Spencer Daves College of Education, Health, and Human Sciences please come forward? Jocelyn Alberry, Doctor of Philosophy and Counseling Psychology and Human Systems, hooded by Professor Lindsay Jenkins. Heather H. Miller, Doctor of Philosophy and Counseling Psychology and Human Systems, hooded by Professor Jenkins. Kayla Nicole Miskimon, Doctor of Philosophy and Counseling Psychology and Human Systems, hooded by Professor Jenkins. Malaya Monk, Doctor of Philosophy in Counseling, Psychology, and Human Systems, hooded by Professor Jenkins. Alex Barrett, Doctor of Philosophy in Instructional Systems and Learning Technologies, hooded by Professor Vanessa Denon. Hui Shi, Doctor of Philosophy in Instructional Systems and Learning Technologies, hooded by Professor Denon. Gabriela Caviedes, Doctor of Philosophy in Educational Psychology, hooded by Professor David Eccles. Yiming Chen, Doctor of Philosophy in Sport Management, hooded by Professor Joshua Newman. Monye Williamson Gorley, Doctor of Philosophy in Sport Management, hooded by Professor Newman. Anaris de la Cruz Benito, Doctor of Philosophy in Curriculum and Instruction, hooded by Professor Christine Andrews Larson. Nola Freeman Duncan, Doctor of Philosophy in Counseling, Psychology, and Human Systems, hooded by Professor Deborah Ebener. Qinglan Feng, Doctor of Philosophy in Human Sciences, hooded by Professor Ming Gui. Timothy Greist, Doctor of Philosophy in Exercise Physiology, hooded by Professor Michael Ormsby. Karina Jalapa, Doctor of Philosophy in Human Sciences, hooded by Professor Kaylee Turner. Misong Kim, Doctor of Philosophy in Curriculum and Instruction, hooded by Professor Phil Hiver. Joseph Yamazaki, Doctor of Philosophy in Curriculum and Instruction, hooded by Professor Hiver. Cho Rong Lee, Doctor of Philosophy in Marriage and Family Therapy, hooded by Professor Lenore McWay. Crystal Giovanna Maraquin, Doctor of Philosophy in Marriage and Family Therapy, hooded by Professor McWay. Lu Liu, Doctor of Philosophy in Measurement and Statistics, hooded by Professor Yanyun Yang. Amber Morgan, Doctor of Education in Instructional Systems and Learning Technologies, hooded by Professor Alan Yong. Amber Noor Mustafa, Doctor of Philosophy in Foundations of Education, hooded by Professor Aisha Khurshid. Brandy Crystal, Doctor of Education in Educational Leadership and Policy, hooded by Professor Khurshid. Jennifer Lee Pasalakwa, Doctor of Philosophy in Curriculum and Instruction, hooded by Professor Sonia Kabel. Debbie Slick, Doctor of Philosophy in Curriculum and Instruction, hooded by Professor Kabel. Michael Paul, Doctor of Philosophy in Educational Leadership and Policy, hooded by Professor Toby Park Gahan. Jingjing Qing, Doctor of Philosophy and Human Sciences, hooded by Professor Park Gagan. Thomas Raffin, Doctor of Philosophy and Sports Management, hooded by Professor Jeffrey James. Ying Wong, Doctor of Philosophy and Sport Management, hooded by Professor James. Aida Rahimi Kamini, Doctor of Philosophy and Exercise Physiology, hooded by Professor Michelle Parvatia. Hyosun Yim, Doctor of Philosophy and Sport Management, hooded by Professor Amy Kim. Yaki Zhao, Doctor of Philosophy and Human Sciences, hooded by Professor Kuishun Rao. Will Dean Sam Huckabee of the College of Arts and Sciences please come forward? Doreen Darkoa Adoyobo, Doctor of Philosophy and Chemistry, hooded by Professor Hong Lee. Yuerong Xu, Doctor of Philosophy and Molecular Biophysics, hooded by Professor Lee. Hafiza Sarah Akram, Doctor of Philosophy and Biological Sciences, hooded by Professor Hank Bass. Carter E. Bedford, Doctor of Philosophy and Psychology, hooded by Professor Thomas Joyner. Shenghao Isis Chin, Doctor of Philosophy and Psychology, hooded by Professor Joyner. Michelle Jiang, Doctor of Philosophy and Psychology, hooded by Professor Joyner. Amy Lieberman, Doctor of Philosophy and Psychology, hooded by Professor Joyner. Lushna M. Mera, Doctor of Philosophy and Psychology, hooded by Professor Joyner. Rochelle A. Stewart, Doctor of Philosophy and Psychology, hooded by a very busy Professor Joyner. Nolan Blackford, Doctor of Philosophy and Chemistry, hooded by Professor Robert Silvers. Olivia Breeden, Doctor of Philosophy and Psychology, hooded by Professor Andrea Meltzer. Sierra D. Peters, Doctor of Philosophy and Psychology, hooded by Professor Meltzer. Katie Broadhead, Doctor of Philosophy and Computer Science, hooded by Professor Juin Liu. Samuel Ketan, Doctor of Philosophy and Neuroscience, hooded by Professor Adam Dewan. Jamie R. Baxley Craig, Doctor of Philosophy and Classics, hooded by Professor Daniel Pullen. Mariam Feghi, Doctor of Philosophy in Molecular Biophysics, hooded by Professor Kenneth Taylor. Thomas Lawrence Gard, Doctor of Philosophy in Meteorology, hooded by Professor Henry Fuhlberg. Rebecca Joy Gordon, Doctor of Philosophy in Religion, hooded by Professor Martin Kafka. Samuel Tomlinson Granoff, Doctor of Philosophy in English, hooded by Professor Mark Petralunga. Clemente Cifuentes Guzman IV, Doctor of Philosophy in Physics, hooded by Professor Irinel Chirescu. Jesse Antonio Hernandez, Doctor of Philosophy in Physics, hooded by Professor Volker Kriede. Drew Hoodnall, Doctor of Philosophy in English, hooded by Professor Ria Lathan. Jana Nadara Mitchell, Doctor of Philosophy in English, hooded by Professor Lathan. Bing Zhao, Doctor of Philosophy in Computer Science, hooded by Professor Andy Wong. Rituparna Khan, Doctor of Philosophy in Computer Science, hooded by Professor Mallory. Liting Zhang, Doctor of Philosophy in Computer Science, hooded by Professor Mallory. Woo Min Kim, Doctor of Philosophy in Statistics, hooded by Professor Wei Wu. Sonia Karan, Doctor of Philosophy in Chemistry, hooded by Professor Qingzheng Sang. Bright Ogechi Ogbalu, Doctor of Philosophy in Chemistry, hooded by Professor Sang. Sung-Young Lee, Doctor of Philosophy in Meteorology, hooded by Professor Allison Wing. Ethan Edgar Wright, Doctor of Philosophy and Oceanography, hooded by Professor Wing. Jiheng Li, Doctor of Philosophy and Statistics, hooded by Professor Jonathan Stewart. Siming Lang, Doctor of Philosophy and Mathematics, hooded by Professor Feng Bao. Wanjin Song, Doctor of Philosophy and Mathematics, hooded by Professor Bao. Rufeng Liu, Doctor of Philosophy and Statistics, hooded by Professor Andres Barrientos. Zhao Zhao Ma, Doctor of Philosophy and Statistics, hooded by Professor Anuj Srivastava. Yanyao Tan, Doctor of Philosophy and Biostatistics, hooded by Professor Srivastava. Carolyn L. Marsh, Doctor of Philosophy and Psychology, hooded by Professor Michael Kopfler. Jose Leon Martinez, Doctor of Philosophy and Psychology, hooded by Professor John Maynor. Jesse Christian Miller, Doctor of Philosophy and Religion, hooded by Professor Joseph Helwig. Rebecca L. Peters, Doctor of Philosophy and Religion, hooded by Professor Joseph Helwig. Carly Naratsky, Doctor of Philosophy and Meteorology, hooded by Professor Vasubandhu Misra. Esther Ivsanachi Okonkwo, Doctor of Philosophy and English, hooded by Professor Christopher Okonkwo. Megan Peltier, Doctor of Philosophy and Mathematics, hooded by Professor Nick Kogan. Mezu Kui, Doctor of Philosophy and Neuroscience, hooded by Professor Douglas Torres and Deborah Fadu. Paula Alexandra Ehrlich Moran, Doctor of Philosophy and Biological Sciences, hooded by Professor Deborah Fadu. Branislav Rabatin, Doctor of Philosophy and Physics, hooded by Professor David Collins. Binny Schundelmeyer, Doctor of Philosophy and Physics, hooded by Professor Kaya Wei. Lauren Nicole Sprague, Doctor of Philosophy and Psychology, hooded by Professor Rashida Holbrook. Matthew Winters, Doctor of Philosophy and Mathematics, hooded by Professor Ahmad Agashi. Landis Elizabeth Grenville, Doctor of Philosophy and English, hooded by Professor David Kirby. Peyton Wall, Doctor of Philosophy and English, hooded by Professor Kirby. Ryan Andrew McHale, Doctor of Philosophy and English, hooded by Professor Kirby. And Justin A. Valletta, Doctor of Philosophy and Mathematics, hooded by Dean Sam Huckabee.
Congratulations to you all. We are pleased and proud to welcome you as alumni of the Florida State University. If you're a graduate with multiple degrees from Florida State University, thank you for continuing to be part of the FSU legacy. As you leave Florida State, I want to remind you all that you'll always be a Seminole. We want you to consider this home, this campus your home, and I encourage you to stay in touch. With more than 400,000 living alumni, no matter where you go, the chances are you won't be far from a fellow FSU graduate. On this occasion, it's appropriate for us to recognize that for most graduates, this day would not be possible without the assistance and support the parents, spouses, other members of their families and friends. Graduates, please stand, look for your family, loved ones in the audience, and salute them with your applause. Thank you. Thank you all for being here today. I also want to acknowledge and thank the people that put on these ceremonies. It's a lot of work. If you could please give them a round of applause. We end this commencement with the singing of the hymn to the Garnet, the Gold, and the recessional. The recession will be led by the platform party. The faculty, the new doctors will follow. The words to the hymn to the Garnet and Gold are on the screens above you. Please rise.
Thank you.